again to my show, Ask the Cheese Doctor. My name is Dietrich Truxes, and I am broadcasting from New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand. Today, we're going to speak about, we're going to finish the part of the blue vein cheeses. Last week, we spoke about blue vein cheeses and how they are developed. And today, we're going to finish the part. I reckon, I'm not quite sure, but I reckon because I was watching the videos before, and I saw that I didn't do it on purpose, and we repeated this topic. But anyway, we're gonna finish. And if you didn't see the other video, well, now you can watch this video and learn about how to make blue vein cheeses. And now we are now, thanks to you guys, we are 14,000 subscribers, and the community every day slowly but it's growing up every day. And this program is dedicated to people who only speaks English and other language, and it's dedicated to people that speaks other language than English, than Spanish, because my program is also in Spanish. My mother tongue is Spanish, but I have this program for people who wants to learn how to make cheese, and they don't speak Spanish like me, and they speak other languages, and mostly in English. And if you want to learn how to make cheese, you can go to this program if you speak Spanish. But if you speak English, sorry, but if you speak Spanish, you can go to my Spanish program, which is at 9 o'clock. This is at 11 o'clock. The cheese making course is ongoing. I'm still working on the videos. It's more than 50 videos. So to record a video takes a while. So and if you take this course, for sure you're gonna learn how to make cheese. The program will be the course will be in English, will be in Hindi, will be in Chinese. So if you speak one of these languages, you will be able to learn how to make cheese as well, because the videos have captions and you can translate it to any language as well. It's going to be in YouTube, and it will be a private group. And if you enroll now, you will have 50% off the price. And the course will only cost $250. I haven't announced it yet in my website, but I will soon. If you want to book, you're more than welcome. Okay. Welcome to the new members, Carlos Rincon and Dina Echeverria. I haven't have any English speaker yet, not lately, but I haven't had it lately. The 12th of September, I'm gonna make a webinar how to make palmita cheese. Palmita cheese is a cheese with a lot of holes that is from a country, Venezuela, and it's very famous. And the thing is that most of the people that makes this cheese, they make it with raw milk. But we invented a way, because we live in first world countries, and all the milk needs to be pasteurized. And we developed a technique to make the same cheese with the same holes, but using pasteurized milk. We are using mesophilic culture, but it's a special mix, of course. And but if you join the course, you will be able to have it. Okay. Today is my birthday. Today is my son's birthday, 34, I reckon. And Dietrich, if you listen to me, I mean, the name of my son is also Dietrich, like me. And happy birthday. I'm working after the show. I'm going to carry on filming videos. I'm gonna finish the cashew ricotta one. And remember that we make cashew ricotta, and well, the cheese is ready, and the stracchino as well. I'm gonna make both videos today, so we can you guys can enjoy it next week. And but the cremoso cheese, the Argentinian style, I'm not gonna make the video, because I want to take this cheese because it's so beautiful that I want to take it to the competition. Not because not because of the appearance of the cheese, because the cheese is vacuum packed. and it doesn't have any rind. Um, it's because it's so good. I mean, it looks so nice that I'm going to take it to the competition. There is a competition in November or October, the International Cheese Award. It's in the UK, and I already enrolled. I already registered, and I'm going to compete in this competition. If you want to compete as well, you're more than welcome. It will be the I'm going to speak about the next week. I'm going to speak about the competitions. If you want to compete, I'll explain you where to go, which website. This month we have two competitions. I mean, not to, this month we have to register in two competitions. One is the International Cheese Award, which is already ongoing, and the other one at the end of August is the World Cheese Award, where I got a bronze medal for one of my cheeses, and on 2019. And I want to win another medal if possible, of course. If you don't compete, you never win anything. So I invite you to compete. And the good thing about the International Cheese Award is because to enroll is cheap. You have to pay per cheese. If you send three cheeses, you pay three times the fee. But the thing is that maybe it's because of COVID, things are not very good for everyone, and the price is very cheap. So I invite you to participate, to compete. And the worst case scenario is that you lose. If you lose, so what? You get the experience, but if you win a lot. You win an international award. So I invite you to do it. I'm going to create next week. I'm going to create the coaching program, and we're gonna create a special group in Facebook. It's a private one for people who wants to compete. I'm gonna charge small fee. Of course, my time is also important, and but I'm gonna give you the tips. I'm gonna give you what to consider when you make the cheese, what not to consider, how to pack it up, how to send it, where to go, and we're gonna make like live webinars, for private ones for people who to enroll to people who enroll in this coaching program, which will last maybe 1 or 2 months, and then we will be giving in the webinar. Sorry, in the Facebook group, we will be giving advising people how to compete, and how to send the cheeses, in what state you have to send the cheeses, and that's the idea that you guys learn. Okay, as I said, today this is my iPad. I had a small accident here yesterday. I cut my hand, 5 stitches. I was buying a fridge for my milk, and I was just lifting it up, and I saw a piece of steel and cut my hand. A lot of blood and stuff. Never mind. I wasn't gonna make the program today, but I'm okay. I just need to rest. And making videos is like resting. Okay, I'm gonna start with the class. Let's start with the class, and if you want to make any questions, I also have questions for the audience from last week. So, and during this week, I have questions also from people that have asked some questions. But if you want to ask any question, or you can say hello, you're more than welcome. Okay, so let's start with the class. Everyone has things to do, and I'm going to start with the class. Okie dokie. Okay, here we are. Okay, as we said, let's make a small review before we carry on. As I said, the cheese making process for blue vein cheeses is not so different from other processes, from other cheese making processes. The thing is that we use a mold called Penicillin roqueforti. Penicillin roqueforti is a mold that you find in the supermarket, not in the supermarket. You find it in the stores where you buy stuff for making cheese. and it's a mold that you have to inoculate it to the milk, and this mold will grow into the cheese. But to allow the mold to grow into the cheese, you have to create the conditions. And to create the condition is you have to put this mold is very resistant to high level of salt, and it needs oxygen. However, it can also grow with low level of oxygen, but at least the mold needs a minimum amount of oxygen to grow inside. If the mold is inoculated into the milk, the idea is that you make the cheese just in the normal way that you make a cheese. With, of course, you don't have to press it, but you can, because the cheese is, how I say, when the cheese is made, all the mold can grow on the outside, but the thing is that because we, due to the fact that we don't have oxygen into the cheese, we have to create holes into the cheese so the mold can grow. And we do it in both ways. One of the ways is with bacteria that produce holes, and also by piercing the cheese inside. So we create by piercing the cheese, I mean just with a pin, just we pass it through many times from one end to the other to allow the oxygen to go inside, and then the mold will grow. Of course, we have to create the conditions of moisture or humidity and temperature that allow the mold to grow. And this mold will change the texture of the cheese and also the flavor. Okay, but now I want to teach you how to make it. Okay, so the method to make or the recipe to make the blue vein cheese is, let's talk first for the let's divide it by two steps. The first step is by serving the milk and inoculating and curdling the milk, which is coagulating the milk. And so we have to heat the milk at 30 degrees Celsius. Okay. Of course, you have to sanitize your equipment first with a 200 parts per million solution. When you have, after having your milk at 30 degrees Celsius, you have to, you also have to sanitize your pans, your vats, everything. The way to do it is by soaking your pan in a 200 parts per million chlorine solution, or by spraying. If you have a big vat, you're not gonna, you can spray. I mean, what you can do is to spray the vat with a 70% alcohol solution, and then spread them up with an atomizer, and then wash it up with hot water, drain it, and you can carry on. Okay, so you have to heat the milk. Once you have your milk ready, you have to heat them up at 30 degrees Celsius. You can use any type of milk, but have to be, you can use homogenized milk if you want. Non-homogenized milk, you can use raw milk, but you have to pasteurize it first. You have to, or if you're gonna use raw milk, you have to leave it. You have to leave your cheese ripening for more than 2 months, and it's gonna be a problem. You can use sheep milk, goat milk, any type of milk. Okay, of course, do not use ultra pasteurized milk, because what you're gonna get is ricotta. Once your milk is heated at 30 degrees Celsius, you have to add your lactic culture. Your lactic culture that you have to use is the mesophilic cultures, which is the Leuconoschot mesenteroides. The Leuconoschot mesenteroides is a mesophilic culture that creates holes into the cheese. Okay, it produces gas. So, and it's a mesophilic one. So you have to heat the milk at 30 degrees Celsius. But if for any reason you pass through this temperature, don't worry, it's not the end of the world, but do not allow the milk to be heated more than 39 degrees. If you are in the range of 30, 35, you're okay. Even 29 degrees, it will be all right because the leuconostoid growth is a mesophilic cultures and their temperature there is between 29, 35 degrees, 37, up to 39. 40 is the max, but 41, don't heat at 41 because at 41 this culture will die. So you have to heat it at this range. Okay. Once you have heated the milk and it's at the right temperature, you can add the mold. If you want to add the mold with the milk cold, with the milk already cold, doesn't matter. You can add it. You can add your calcium chloride if you want to add calcium chloride as well. Go for it. Doesn't matter. Okay, I didn't put it here, but you can add calcium chloride if you want. And once you add your cultures or lactobacteria, you have to let the milk ripen for 1 hour to allow the bacteria to wake up. After 1 hour, you have to coagulate your milk using rennet. The amount of cultures, the amount of mold, the amount of rennet that you use, or you should use, should be as per manufacturer's recommendations. Okay. Some if you're using animal rennet, it's all right. You can use vegetable rennet. It's also all right. You can use any type of rennet. Of course, some cheeses established specifically to use animal rennet or vegetable rennet. But anyway, if you're just starting, you can use any type of rennet, so, and vegetable or animal kind. The thing is that you have to use the dose as per the supplier's recommendation. Otherwise, your cheese might get a little bit bitter. Okay, too much rennet makes the cheese bitter. Once after the rennet is curdled in the milk, you have to wait for 1 hour to allow the rennet to act. When you add the rennet, just add the drop of rennet or the powder of rennet dissolved in water on non-chlorinated water. Stir for 1 minute, no more than 1 minute, okay, and then let it rest for the hour that I told you already. After the hour, it's time to cut the curd. To cut the curd, you have to wait it says 1.1, 1.5. I always leave it for 1 hour, okay, because in 1 hour it's more than enough that the curd get coagulated. And then we cut at 10 mils or 12 mils in both ways. To cut the curd, you can use cheese curds. You have to pass it through along the way, both ways. And you have to pass it again to cut horizontally. So the cheese curds, the cheese cutter, sorry. The cheese cutters are like harp, and then they have strings vertical way and horizontal way. Vertical way to cut the curd longitudinally, and horizontally it will cut the curd horizontally. Okay. Okay. The idea is to get to make cubes. You also can cut with a knife if you want. If you're making the blue vein at home, with a knife you can cut one way, the other way, and then just by steering slowly at the beginning, slowly you can carry on cutting until you have more or less cubes of 10, 12 mils. You don't have to cut with a harp if you want, or cheese cutter if you want. You can use a knife, especially if you're doing it at home. The thing is that after the cheese is cut, it will start the curd will start to expelling whey and getting smaller because it will due to the heat that that the cheese have. Remember, we have 30 degrees, and we are After cutting, the heat will shrink the curd. But it's very important that when we are cutting the curd, we have to scald the cheese, and we scald the cheese to make the curd stronger, to make it shrink a little bit more. And by raising the temperature to 35 degrees, the heat will shrink the curd, will make it more resistant, and of course, the curd will expel even more whey. Okay. Um, you have to when you are heating the curd, you have to do it very slowly. The rate of heat is more or less 2 degrees Fahrenheit per minute. Okay, so you have to do that very slowly, and you have to stir. By stirring, the curd will expel whey. This process is called syneresis. I have spoken about this process many times. Okay, when the cheese or when the curd expel whey, you have to allow the whey or you have to allow the syneresis to act into the vat, and you have to reach a certain level of pH. This the Yes, certain level of pH. This level of pH is more or less between 4.8 or 4.7 after 24 hours. A way off, I don't remember the pH. I reckon it should be 5.2, 5.1, more or less. I'm not quite sure. It's in the recipes. It's in many recipes that you can find in Google. But the thing is that after cutting the core, you have to weigh off. And to weigh off, which means you have to drain the whey and leave the core in the vat. As I said, drain the remaining whey during syneresis. Once you have the pH target, you have to hoop, which means that by hooping, I mean is you have to weigh off a little bit until the level of the curd. The curd will still have whey around, and you have to grab this whey along with the curd and put it into the mold. The mold for blue vein cheeses have no bottoms. They might have bottoms, but the professional ones do not have bottoms, and they have like a racks. But you can use molds if you want, and fill them up with whey, also with whey, and fill them up till the top. Do not press this type of cheeses. Okay, the cheeses don't get pressed, so you have to fill the mold, and once the mold are full, they will drain and they will lower the level. You can carry on putting more whey, more curd with whey to finishing filling them up. And once they are full, you can, if you want, you can sprinkle the mold over the curd. But if you already put it into the milk, it's not necessary. And you have to let the curd to drain at 21, 22 degrees for 24 hours. Okay. And once the molds are ready, after the one thing that I haven't told you here, you have to allow the whey to drain. You have to turn the cheese over. Okay, you have to turn it. Boom. And it will allow the whey to carry on going out. As I said, do not press this type of cheeses. Yeah, there is a procedure how you can do it. The mold of the mold, the height of the mold is more or less between 10, 15 centimeters. But it doesn't. I mean, it's not a general rule. You can make your blue vein with a big mold as well if you want to make it big, a big piece of Roquefort, but to to allow the cheese to handle it, because the mold will put the cheese very soft. If you have it too big, it's also not very practical. So it's your choice what type of mold you use, but I recommend 10, 15 centimeters because it's the best size to make the cheese. Okay. Um, when they are full, let it stand for 45 minutes, turn it around, and flip it. I say every 45 minutes, but you can leave it for an hour in the next 5 hours. The idea is what I'm trying to say here is that we have to allow the mold, allow the curd to expel whey. We have to allow the synersis to act. And by turning 45 minutes in the next 5 hours, we are creating this condition for the cheese to expel more whey. Okay. Once it's ready, after the 5 hours, or the next day if you want to do it, because sometimes you don't have, you can leave it for the whole day, especially if you made the cheese in the afternoon. And the next day, you can sprinkle it with dry salt, and you have to measure pH. It's very important that the next day the pH should be around 4.8 or 4.7. Okay, the temperature of your room when you are letting your cheese to dry is between 20 22 degrees Celsius. On the second day, you have to unmold the cheese and rub it with salt, both surfaces. Okay, rub it with salt. The same happens with the third, fourth, and fifth day. Rub it with salt. Remember, the penicillin roqueforti allows high levels of salt, so you can rub it with salt without any problem. The mold is not going to suffer. On the sixth day, you have to wash the cheese to remove the excess of salt and let it ripen at 10 degrees Celsius and 90-95% of relative humidity for 1 or 2 months. No, more than that. 2 months, 2 or 3 months, depending on the flavor of the cheese that you want to reach. But I assure you that after 3 or 4 weeks, the cheese will start to smell beautiful. The stronger you leave the cheese ripening, the more flavor and the texture will change, and the texture also will change. Okay. After the cheese is ready, okay, you have to pierce it. You have to pierce it. Let me go back to the hooping. On the sixth day, wash the cheese and remove the excess of salt, as I said before here. Okay. After the week, you have to, after the cheese ripening for a week, you have to pierce the cheese. Remember, the mold is inside the cheese, but it hasn't grown because it doesn't have oxygen. So first you have to allow the cheese to get oxygen from the environment, and to do that you have to pierce the cheese. By piercing, you have to stick a 2 or 3 mil diameter needle into the cheese. Boom, about 40 or 60 times, depending on the type of cheese. Pin it. What I use is the thermometer. I just spin it with a thermometer. Boom, boom, and you have to do it systematically, right? The idea is the pin should be even all around the cheese. Okay. Okay. Once you have pinned the cheese, you have, as I said, between 30 or 60 holes you have to make it, and then after the cheese is ripened, after the cheese is pierced, you have to return the cheese to the cave and carry on ripening at 10 degrees Celsius, 92-95% of relative humidity, and rice the cheese, resting on his round side to allow the air to enter. What I mean by that, you don't have to put the cheese like this on the flat part. No, you have to put it in this part. Okay, so like this, boom, and then you have to the cheese. You have to round it and move it 1/3 of a round every day or every 2 days. I don't remember the recipe. Let's carry on watching the recipe to see. And you, as I said, let the cheese mature for 4 weeks, rotating it daily 1/4 of the turn, 1/4. Okay, rotate it, because the idea is that the part that is into the shelf on the round part that is on the shelf get oxygen as well and get dry. So by turning it daily 1/4 of a round, we are allowing this, and the mold will grow evenly. Okay, and let the cheese then air for 24 hours after washing it, and wrap it up with aluminum foil. The cheese will finish maturing or will finish aging in the aluminum foil. Okay, because the oxygen can grow inside as well. And then after it's wrapping, or after the cheese is wrapped, finish it maturing, already wrapped, as I said, at 4 or 6 degrees Celsius. I would say for another 30 days, which is 2 months, or until consumption. Okay. The longer the cheese ripen, the better the flavor. Blue cheeses, all of them, I would say all of them, yeah, they are wrapped in aluminum foil. Okay, very thin one. You can use colors as well. It will depend of the type of aluminum that you use. Okay, okay. Next week, I'm going to speak about the international competitions for cheese making. If you want to compete, I will teach you how to compete. Okay, and let's go with the Q&A. Let me go here. Wait. Okie dokie. Let me. Okay, now I have questions. I'm gonna carry on with the question from the audience. If I get it, because the system, my computer is very slow. The stop screen. Okie dokie. Here we are. Okay. It's very important. You can that to make the blue vein cheeses, the temperature and the moisture level, they need to be hand by hand. If your cheese is very cold and the level of moisture is not the proper one, the mold won't grow accordingly, and therefore your cheese might get a little bit dry or different texture. So you have to be careful with that when you ripen the cheese. And to put it in your cave, if you don't have a cave, you can use a small fridge, and you have to regulate the temperature. Okay, my advice: put a thermometer inside your fridge so you can measure your temperature. And normally, when we make aged cheeses, we have different type of cheeses into the. I would say I call it a cave, but it's your fridge. I put different type of cheeses in the cheese. Some of them are with white mold, some of them blue mold, some of them are no mold. But if you keep it all exposed inside your fridge, they will get contaminated among them, because the white mold will mix with the blue mold and so on. So my advice is put it into a plastic container, close it up, and put the cheeses over a small rack, plastic rack and leave it there, and just put the containers into your fridge. The temperature will be the same, doesn't matter, but the thing is that they won't get contaminated between each other. So that is that you have to um, be careful with that, okay, when you do that. Okay, let's carry on with the questions or with the answers. I'm gonna let's carry on with the questions that I have here from the audience. Let's see here. Can you please tell me, Rafael Chavez? Can you please tell me? Well, I have some other questions in English as well. I'm gonna start with this one. Can you please tell me how to make cream cheese and butter? Rafael Chavez. I have a video in my channel, Rafael, how to make cream cheese. Go for it, but it's not a biggie. You have to acidify your milk with the lactobacteria, okay, until you reach a certain level of pH, and then weigh off, and that's it. The process is not very complicated, okay. Butter is the same. You have to use cream instead of milk, and for cream you have to put the bacteria inside, let it ripen until you reach the certain level of pH. Or if you want to put yogurt as well, you can put yogurt, let it ripen for 2 days, 3 days, the longer the better. And then after it's ripened, after 3 days, the cream will become like solid. Just put it in a container with lid, shake it off, and we'll notice that the cream will start getting thicker and thicker and thicker until you don't hear anything. Carry on shaking until you can listen when the cream is moving again. If you listen that the cream is moving again, the butter is ready, and you will notice that the fat, which is yellow, will be separated from the whey. And after that, you have to drain all the whey, wash it up with fresh water, and salt it. Easy, very easy. Okay, I'm gonna make a video anyway. I'm gonna make a video how to make butter. Okay, I have a question here from Cheryl. I made a cheese press by hand, no screws. I am a beginner cheesemaker. What should I try? Well, if you already have the press, you can make cheddar. Okay, I already have a video how to make cheddar in my channel. Go for it, and you can watch it. It's in English as well. And you can make cheddar. I have step by step all the recipe. You can also make queso fresco, queso blanco, which is the same as queso fresco, and it's very easy to make. You can make halloumi if you want. I have a video of how to make halloumi in my channel. Go for it. Go and look for it. And you can make feta if you want as well. Well, now you have 5 cheeses. All of them are in my channel if you want to make them. Okay. To make mozzarella, you don't need a press. If you guys have questions, also you can make any questions. The thing that you are very quiet today, no problem. I have questions from my audience. Okay. John Campbell, tell me, do you have a good plans for a cheese press that I may use? I'm looking to do just small batches. Well, look, John, in my channel, my YouTube channel, I have 2 videos of press. By the way, I cut my hand yesterday. I was lifting a fridge and cut it 5 stitches. Okay, coming back to the subject. In my channel, there are 2 videos of how to make a cheese press. The first one is very simple, just 2 boards and some guidance here, and just have to put the weight. The disadvantage of this press is that if you need 50 kilos, of weight, you have to put 50 kilos of weight. And it's not very practical because the press is very small, so you have to put something that weighs a lot. For example, weight from the gym, lifting weight. I have another press in my channel, which is the Dutch press. This Dutch press is, I reckon, is the best because it uses the principle of linear momentum. In engineering, is that a small force, like this one, can create with, if we use like a stick, we call it an arm. By a small load applied here, depending of the distance that we put it, like this, we put it. If we put it here, the strength is gonna be more. If we put it here, it's gonna be less. So and the weight goes this. The good thing about this press is that for a small amount of weight that you apply, you can get a big amount of pressure into your cheese, and you can measure it depending of the distance or in the position that you put your weight. For example, in my cheese press, with 2 liters of water, I can produce 20 kilos of pressure, and I can measure it. The good thing is that I can measure it. There is in my channel, in my go for the video of the Dutch, how to make a Dutch cheese press, and you will be able to have. I have the drawings over the plans, so you can make it if you want. All as in scales. Remember, I'm an engineer, so I made the drawings. And it's very easy to make. Of course, you have to work a little bit, but you can make it with timber if you want. Mine is with timber, and you can also make it with steel if you want, and then galvanize it, or stainless steel if you want, or if you want to buy it, you can buy it in Amazon. Okay, let's carry on. I don't have the name here. Could I use cheese wax to keep store-bought cheese away from molding? Would it be a good idea? Okay, look. If you want to use, okay, of course you can. The thing is that if you buy, let's say, half a kilo of cheddar cheese, and you don't eat it, and you want to leave it in the fridge for a long time, of course you can wax it, but to wax it, you have to heat the wax. You have to, or you're gonna have to paint the cheese with the wax, and it's a pain in the butt to do that because it'll take it'll take a while to do it. You have to do it by layers. You have to soak the cheese into the wax. Of course, you can do it, but I would suggest instead of waxing the cheese, you can vacuum pack it. If you vacuum pack it, there's no issues. It's the same effect as waxing the cheese. You just put it into the bag, vacuum pack it. Of course, if the vacuum packing machine works accordingly, you will have your cheese vacuum packed, and with the moisture and the moisture will remain into the cheese, and the moisture and the mold won't grow because there is no oxygen into the cheese. So make sure that if you vacuum pack it, all the oxygen goes out the bag. Otherwise, you will have mold on it. And I also would suggest to check it periodically, let's say once a week or once a month. If you notice that your bag is loose again and it's not packed, repack it again, and then I assure you that your cheese will not have mold inside. Okay. Santi Cloet say, hi Dietrich, I have 10 liters of raw milk that is sour. Any ideas? What can I do with it? Very easy, Santi. Dump it. Look, there is a cheese saying, a good milk not necessarily will take you to a good cheese, because it will depend on your process and your milk. If your process is good, if your process is all right, and your process is perfect, you will have an excellent cheese because it's made with fresh cheese and excellent milk, with and good milk. But if the milk is bad, I assure you 100% that your cheese will be bad. This is 100%. So my suggestion, if you have rotten milk, or how do you say, sour milk, dump it, because you're gonna have a bad cheese for sure. And you're also saying that the milk is raw. If the milk is raw, it's not pasteurized. All the bacteria is there, good and bad, and I would say 100% or 99.9% that your cheese will have the same bacteria, and therefore a bad cheese. Don't ever use sour milk to make cheese, raw, pasteurized, whatever. You have to use fresh cheese, as fresh as possible, especially if it is just came from the Uber, from the over of the cow. Even though if it is raw, use it. Of course, if it is raw, and you can pasteurize it and use it, but the milk is fresh, not sour. Okay. I have another question from Will Estes. Let me see if we have question here. We don't have asked questions. No, no questions. Okay, let's say here. Let's carry on. Will Estes. I have been making a yogurt from probiotic capsules very successfully for a while now. On my last batch, the yogurt never solidifies completely. It becomes a clumpy mass that is probably 80% whey. What would cause that to happen? Look, that's the reason, Will, because I don't like using whey from other batches. Because, for my concern, I believe that you are having cross contamination. What happened? When you use your whey, when you make your cheese or your yogurt or any type of dairy, if you use lactic cultures and you use the whey of the last batch, or the yogurt of your last batch, this culture that you're using always get contaminated, and also and this contamination is passing to the new batch. I believe what you have there is that by using the same yogurt all the time, you have something. You have something in your vat, on your new vat, and it's not coagulating, because you are having bactrophage. Bactrophage is a virus that grows into and it happens once in a while, that grows into your milk, and it remains into your vats and your equipment. And this virus is a virus. This virus inoculate your lactic bacteria, and they inject their ADN into the lactic bacteria, and the virus will reproduce inside the lactic bacteria, and it will change the ADN of the lactic culture, and then the bacteria won't produce lactic acid anymore, and eventually they will die. The bacteria will die. So this is what might happen. Bactrophage. What you have to use is, first of all, sanitize all your equipment with chlorine solution or iodine solution. Sanitize everything, all your molds, or well, in your case, you're making yogurt. You have to sanitize your yogurt maker. You have to sanitize your containers, everything. Okay, and dump the yogurt that you're using. Bring a new one. Don't use this yogurt anymore. Make another batch with new yogurt. and I assure you that your new cheese or your new yogurt will be perfect. Okay, because you are having bacteriophage in your cheese. Also, maybe if you are heating, another reason could be if you are heating your milk at too low temperature or at too high temperature. So, and you are not allowing the bacteria to reproduce accordingly because the bacteria needs temperature and time to feed from the lactose of the milk and coagulate the milk and produce lactic acid, which eventually will coagulate your milk. So this is another reason. You are having a very low temperature, and the bacteria is grows below. It's not growing because it's too cold for her to reproduce. So you have to raise the temperature. Or if the temperature is too high, that might kill the bacteria as well. So you have to you have to evaluate variables and get rid of one variable one by one. If you are sure that your milk is heating at or is heated at the right temperature, okay, you can discard it. You can and you say, okay, the temperature is okay because I am ripening at 30 degrees, to put an example or to put a number. So it's not the temperature because the bacteria is growing at 30 degrees. Now it's another reason. Well, try the bacteriophage, change the yogurt because and sanitize all your equipment because the bacteria is getting invaded by bacteriophage, which are viruses that attack the lactic cultures. In this way, you have to change your culture. Okay. We have 3 or 4 more questions to go, I reckon. How are we with the time? Ooh, 8 minutes. Gee, the time has passed very fast. Okay, Santi, right? Will, yeah. Heidi, can you of a brand of lactic culture? Does a brand makes a difference? Look, Heidi. A brand doesn't make a difference. There is a very what we do is there is a big producer, wholesale producer, that is Danisco. Danisco is the big lactic culture manufacturers. There's also the Hansen one. And what we do is we buy from them and repack it. But you can buy the Chinese ones as well. The brand doesn't make a difference. If you believe that when you are making your cheese and your brand, the brand that you're using, satisfy your needs, it's all right. Go ahead. So I don't believe in brands. Of course, the Danisco is from France, and they have been in the market for a long time. Well, I use Danisco in my case. I also have used Hansen. I haven't used the Chinese one, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. The thing is that when you are making cheese and you're, in my case, I'm making cheese for a business, you have to get your lactic culture for any brand that give you a certification of quality. Okay, and because this certification, I mean, your manufacturer needs to certify the product that he's selling you, that he's selling. If he can give you this certification or this analysis, it's all right. Buy it from them. If your supplier tells you, no, I can't give you the certification because we don't have it, don't buy it from them, because you need to have a certified culture that is free of allergens, is free of contamination, because you are making cheese for a business. And or even though if it is not for a business, you are making cheese for your family. And if your supplier doesn't give you a certified product, don't buy from them. Doesn't matter what brand is it, because you're not gonna have a safe product. So and the best way to, and these brands that I already told you, Danisco, Hansen, they can give you certification for the product that they manufacture. Okay. Aaron, could I freeze my farmer cheese or ricotta? I am concerned about grainy texture when thawed. Okay, look, Aaron. Um, yes, you can. You can freeze ricotta because ricotta is already grainy. But farm cheese, I wouldn't suggest to freeze farm cheese. You can freeze mozzarella or pasta filata cheese, and when they get melted, when they thaw out, the texture will be the same. I have tried burrata, frozen burrata, and butter in Italy and imported to New Zealand, and it's been gorgeous. But for farm cheeses, the too much cold change the texture of the cheese inside. So I wouldn't do you to freeze farm cheeses. Other type of cheeses you can. I haven't tried either with for example, farm cheese is Roquefort. You're not gonna freeze Roquefort because it will change texture. But pasta filata cheeses and ricotta, go for it, no problem. Okay. Okay, another question from Kona Watson. Why will my goat milk yogurt not get thick? I have made yogurt with cow milk for years and not had a problem. Now, of the 4 times I have tried, I have been sorry. Now, of the 4 times I have tried, have been thick. Help, have not been thick. Well, for the same reason I told you before, Kona. Maybe you are using the same culture for a long time, and you have also bactrophage. This bactrophage is a virus that is killing bacteria. And dump it, get rid of it, sanitize your equipment with iodine chloration or chlorine solution, or alcohol solution if you want, and try it again. I assure you that it will improve. Your yogurt will improve. Okay. Debbie, I'm looking for recommendation for ways to keep cheeses the right temperature for aging. Do wine coolers work well? Okay, Debbie. Wine coolers works excellent. Okay. Uh, to to ripen your cheeses at the right temperature, what I would suggest is, because first of all, stick chuck a thermometer into your fridge, and also you have to allow like some kind of mechanism to keep the cheese at a higher temperature. It means that I don't know the name in English. That is an instrument that you plug into your outlet, and it has a thermometer. And then when the thermometer reaches a certain level of temperature, let's say 8 degrees, your fridge will turn on again. But it works with the instrument will turn on and turn off your fridge, and it will keep the temperature that you want. It won't be turned on all the way or all the time. It will turn on and turn off because this instrument, according to depending of the temperature that is inside the fridge, will turn on and turn off the cheese. And in this way, you can ripen the cheese at 8, 10 degrees, whatever you want. Okay. Okay, and let's see how are we with the time. And one more question. I don't have the name. I tried to make blue cheese. The outside looks like brie, but when I scrap it, it turned brown and very smelly. What went wrong? Well, look, this is what I say. When you are ripening cheese into your fridge or into your cave or into your cheese room, you have to, especially if you are ripening different type of cheeses, You have white mold in one shelf, blue mold in the other shelf. So, but they are all together in the same environment, and the mold from the white shell will pass to the blue shell, and your cheeses will get cross contaminated. What you have to do is put each cheese into a plastic container, close it up. And if you don't want to close it, because you have to allow the mold to grow, so you have to close it, but don't press it. Don't close it hermetically. Just close it. Put the lid on the top, and that's it. And every day or every 2 days, just turn your cheeses into take the cheese out, turn it, or make the turn depending on the cheese that you're using, and um, carry on with the process. Otherwise, you will have cross contamination, and your cheeses will be all marble cheeses, blue and blue and white. And if you are aging cheddar as well, your cheddar will get the white mold, the blue mold. It's gonna be a mess. Okay, so this is my advice. And well, we're done here. Remember, if you want to go to the webinar, I'm gonna put you the link here. If you want to enter the webinar, learn how to make the cheese for sure. I'm gonna put it here if you want. This is a very yum cheese, and in your countries is very rare. So with this, you have a very good business opportunity because it's going to be a cheese from South America that you are going to sell in your countries. You can, and there's a cheese you want to learn. And for sure, in the last webinar, all the people that did the registered webinar made the cheese. Okay, so if you want to make the cheese, go for it. There's the link. It's in the comments. So, well, thanks for coming. Once again, we are 14,000 subscribers. We are and growing every day. If you want to learn how to make cheese, spread the voice that I exist. I'm always here in my channel for English speakers at 11 o'clock every Saturday New Zealand time. It's Friday in other parts of the planet, but in New Zealand it's Saturday. So, and as I always said, eat cheese because life without cheese is a love without kiss. See you next week. And next week we're going to speak about competition. Bye.